So guys, sorry for the delay. We are now live on the Golf Chat Show. Today we've got James Robinson, YouTube star, nearly towards 100,000 subscribers on the show. Welcome to the show, James.
How are you doing? You okay?
Yeah, I'm great, mate. How are you? How are you holding up?
I'm all right, mate. That's our signature wave, isn't it? Remember?
There's plenty of videos around this.
Just a bit of an awkward wave. But I'm all right. I'm trying to, as you've probably seen, trying to keep as proactive as we can. I think everyone's in the same boat, aren't we? It's like, as bad as we may feel,
Yeah.
like I take a lot of solace in that we're all in this together.
Yeah.
So, like, there's people a lot worse off than us. There's people better off than us. Just got to kind of keep going and do what we can do. So, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Officially got the dog potty trained, so that's the most positive thing I've taken out of this whole thing so far.
And you had that dog out 6 months?
No, yeah. Honestly, it has been carnage from the start. Like, she's great, but one time she gets it, you think, I've got it. And then the next day you walk in the corner, wake up in the morning, you think, oh no, what's going on?
We've not got it. Yeah, I've got a dog as well, and it's a funny one, but you think you've got it, and then 2 years down the line, you wake up and there's a big steaming pile of not got it on the carpet.
I don't want to be hearing that. Right, okay. I'm going to start our first question, actually, talking about dogs and gardens and stuff. On Amen Garden, I had a question saying, is there going to be a place for the patrons to be able to come and watch?
Yes, there absolutely will. So we're not going to do a live stream because I'm not going to lie, I don't know how, but there will be somewhere where patrons can come and watch. They can watch me make hole-in-ones. They can watch me hitting the neighbour's garden, and they can just have a bit of fun.
So if anybody's not seen it, James has created his own version of the Masters in his own garden. It is funny. It is brilliant. I was watching the one the other day.
I think we
the best bit
need to distance it from the Masters. It's not quite. It's not quite up to that, especially when we're in the.
No, I got that in the background.
To that,
it's the lawnmower action's the best bit, I think.
Yeah. It's the lawnmower is something which I've come to terms with in the last few days. I'm quite happy with the performance of it so far into the quarantine.
Perfect. So whoever asked that, you can be expecting some more content on James' channel with that. On to a big question that I've been asking. I said this question a couple of days ago. What do you think of the Premier League of golf? We've had two big hitters come out, Brooks Koepka and Rory McIlroy. He's come out and said, nah, it's not for us. I mean, these guys, there's talk of it being hundreds of millions to get to play this. What is your opinion on it?
I think it's quite refreshing to see McIlroy and Koepka say that because, like, for me, it's a funny one being in our situation because we still very much earn money for a living. So, like, if it was put to us, we'd be like, how much?
Yeah, I'll be like...
yeah, absolutely, yeah. Sign me up. I'm rubbish.
It wouldn't be awkward wave. It would straight be up.
Yeah, but I think looking at it, it's not something which I can't see it being good for golf.
No.
Like I cannot see it being good for. And what I imagine what they'll start to do is they'll say, "Oh, we're going to put X amount into grassroots, and we're going to put X amount into that," and they'll try and kind of mask it a little bit with finances going elsewhere. But I still don't see how. Like, golf's not broken, is it?
No.
Like, I know we're doing our best to try and get maybe shorter forms in the sixes and stuff like that, but it's not broken, so don't try and fix it. In my opinion, people there will disagree with me, they'll agree with me, but. I think it's people with a lot of money trying to make a lot more money. So
I totally agree. And I like you're saying, we're making money from golf, and that's what we try to do. And these guys are, and the guys that they're going to be picking don't necessarily need the money.
Yeah.
But
I think the big one would be if Tiger came out and said, "No, I'm not having that, lads." I think then everyone would just be like, "No."
But there's rumours. I may have got this wrong, and I may have got this completely wrong. That Phil Mickelson is one of the shareholders in this.
I think the targeting, they're very clever in the market, aren't they? Because they're targeting people either with a lot of social influence, or they're targeting people like Mickelson, who obviously he doesn't turn down paychecks often, does he?
No.
So, and then I've not read much into it because I don't really care about it, but I don't think they've targeted McIlroy. I don't think they've targeted Koepka. They've just actively come out and said, "No, I'm all right." Oh. And I think that's refreshing. I think it's fantastic as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. Because the thing I was saying the other day, I worry about the likes of the Challenge Tour, the Euro Pro, on how that will be affected. Because what we've got here is you've got the likes of, for example, Till Hatton, who came through Euro Pro, Challenge Tour, and now one of the world leading European Tour golfers. Would that stop actual grassroots golf from going all the way through on the mini tours, building its way up, to then going, actually, well, the only place you want to be is that world tour, and you've got to be invited, mate?
I think you would. I think you still have to try and become the best golfer you can be, wouldn't you? So I'm not sure if it stopped the kind of grassroots professional game, but I do think it'd turn a lot of people off, like where money comes from and things like that, wouldn't it? So yeah, it's a funny one. It could work, but if like this conversation was the last conversation we ever had about it, it really wouldn't bother me at all, because I love watching PGA Tour, I love watching European Tour, Ryder Cup, and all the majors, and then that's gold for me, to be fair. So yeah.
Okay, on majors, when we finally get around to playing golf again, who do you think?
Next year.
Next year, this year, whenever it'll be.
Yeah.
Hopefully this year. Yeah. Who do you think will be our next major winner?
Which one are we saying is going to come up first?
Let's say last one of the year, USPGA.
Where's that at? Is it New York?
I want to say that.
I'm sure. PGA is always a funny one, but I haven't even thought about it with what's going on. But probably Brooks. I think Brooks is probably going to come out of this like just out the traps, isn't it? Because he's just that mentally strong and that.
Yeah.
I saw he was working with his coach the other day, like on a left-handed swing, and that was as good as his right-handed swing. And
oh my God! Didn't you do a video on playing left-handed? No, didn't you?
No.
Okay then.
just delete that 1 minute. It's not there anymore.
So you want to see some left-handed swings, guys? Do you know what? I would love to see, and this is something that I hope will happen. I think he's got a good enough game for it, and he's shown some consistency over the last 2 years. He's Tommy Fleetwood.
Yeah, he turns up at the big events, doesn't he? Just not quite the mega events. And I think as soon as, he's obviously good enough, and he's obviously got the game for it. So it's just a case of maybe it being his week, really, more than anything. He's more than good enough to win one, isn't he? So
yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so on to a big question that I thought about over the last few days, and the reason I bring it up is because one of the guys who I teach, he's texting me about his membership. Should he keep it? Shouldn't he? Over this period, and I was thinking, if one person's sending me this must be going on quite a lot collectively. Do you think golf clubs will survive this? Because potentially, if this lasts 6 months, we're going through the whole of the golf season. We come into the winter when we might hopefully be allowed back out again. Golf clubs have got bills to pay still, and then people may not have the money to actually then be part of a golf club in the future. Do you think golf clubs, like our normal traditional members clubs here in the UK, will survive?
I think some will. I don't think all will. And I think a lot of that comes down to the ones that have got a real big membership. Like obviously I work at Huddersfield at Bixby, and that's about 700 members. And I think if each and every of those 700 members stood by the club and said, look, we're going to put a couple of quid behind the pro shop, we're going to pay our fees on time even though we're not playing. I know that, and especially in Yorkshire, like this is the hub of we need value for money, and how much is that, and how much, that kind of thing. I think if people can stand by them, and I know I'm well aware that people are going through a hard time as well as just businesses, so it's a real tough one to say, but I'd say if your income has depleted massively, obviously the government are doing all they can to help you, but can you warrant paying something that you're not actively using at this moment in the hope that you can save it long term? So it then becomes a conversation of the people who can afford to help will help, the people who can't afford to help won't help. But I've not really answered your question. I don't know. Because I was talking to a friend of mine who runs a golf course, like a private one, and he was saying if all the members pull the money out now, we're going under.
Yeah.
Done. Point blank, done, going under. put some houses on it or something because we can't afford to run it.
Yeah.
And that's scary to think, because if that's one golf course, obviously they're all going to be run fairly. I know some are run better than others, but they're all going to run fairly similar, aren't they? So
yeah, exactly. And I know we're getting to that time of year where potentially people might start paying their fees like around about April time, April, May. Look, love that. Is that a little IPA we've got on here?
It's a Brewdog, mate.
Brewdog, lovely. Love that.
Yeah.
So this is almost the time, the crunch time, where purses are being cut tight. So, and clubs need the money. And I think the general trend of golf in the UK, I don't know about all the world, is that memberships are coming so cheap now anyway. People are trying to just get any sort of money into the golf club. So if they're not getting anything, a lot of these golf clubs, I know in my area, I'm not going to name them, but I could see about 4 or 5 just around me going.
Definitely. And it's a funny one, because without sounding a bit sadistic, I think that in each area, a few golf clubs probably need to go down anyway. And that's been the case for the last 5 years. This isn't just a coronavirus thing. This is there's just too many golf clubs thing. In like I've named the times, but I don't even know. But there was a time where golf was really, really, really accessible, wasn't there? Or unaccessible, should I say? And loads of public golf courses got set up. And people, I remember someone telling me that they used to queue up about 3 a.m. on a Saturday to pay and play golf on a Saturday morning. And the golf course was full all day. You go to that golf course now and it's empty because there's just too many of them. Like, people had too many business ideas to set up golf courses and make money. And that's a lot of kind of like your small local courses, what they are now.
Yeah.
Now they're heavily reliant on membership, which worked for a brief spell in like the late 90s through the millennium. But now it's like people are much more nomadic, and they're like, well, I'm going to go and play at Huddersfield one day, then I'm going to go and play at Woolley the next day, then I'm going to play at Wortley the next day, then at Tankersley, and then I might go and play at Stockbridge. Yeah. And there's like courses near me, so I'm like, I could go and do that for probably 30 quid a pop, maybe a little bit cheaper if you know them and you go often.
Yeah.
So like all of a sudden, £1,300 a year doesn't seem like very good value, does it?
No, I totally agree. And you've obviously got sites where you can go and get them even cheaper than that, like the hot deals.
Yeah. And your apps where you can get your handicaps and stuff. So like Foxy's just joined Woolley on like a fantastic deal. This isn't a plug, but it's 350 quid for a year. And you get a handicap and you can play in comps.
Jeez.
And I think obviously you're limited to your golf you can play, but that's like unbelievable value. But until then, he had his handicap on the not the 18 Birdies app, one of the apps. Like, it's got a green logo on it. I don't know which one it is. But one of the apps where you can get a handicap. So if you've got a handicap and you can play wherever you want and it's cheaper, who's there to say you should pay £1,000 a year to go around one piece of land? Yeah.
So, guys, if you're watching this, let us know what you're thinking. Are you thinking, okay, obviously we would love you to save your golf clubs. We would love you to do that. We work in the golf industry, so we want you to save your golf clubs. But would you rather pay £1,000 a year, potentially have to play at one golf club, or like James is saying, you could obviously, it's so easy now to be nomadic and play all these different places. Let us know what you're thinking. James, with a few comments here saying, I pay my full membership. I want to support my club. I paid my subs. So hopefully people who can will do that.
Yeah. And that's the big thing about what I didn't want to come across is like, you must support your golf club, because if you can't support, number one is you support yourself and your family.
Yeah.
Through this ridiculous time that no one even weeks ago ever saw coming. After that, if you can support local clubs and teams that you have benefited from in the past, you hopefully will benefit from in the future, then brilliant. But that's very much secondary on people's minds, and probably rightfully so as well. Like, if the worst case scenario comes out of this, a few local golf courses close, absolutely pains me to say it, but that's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I mean? Totally agree. But just on that kind of like golf clubs and stuff, but like, what do you think about all these pros who potentially got like 30, 40 grand's worth of stock in their shop now is going to be hopefully this is not the case, but when they come to reopen, all that stock is going to be like old hat, because you've got the big brands now bringing out next year's stuff.
You would massively hope that the brands stand by a bit of a dead period in the market and say we're going to run this stuff for the next season. I know will it be a spring summer collection now.
Yeah, it will be
Something
now.
like
Yeah.
that, clothing and stuff. I know hardware. You've got to say that it's got to be hit more than probably anything.
Yeah.
To be fair, because it's like the Sim driver, the Maverick driver, the ST200, the Cobra.
SC.
Yes, extreme. You're the extreme, aren't you?
Yeah, I need all the help I can get.
Like they're not going to get a true. Like the sales of them must be horrific worldwide.
Oh.
They've got to be the worst product sales in years and years and years, maybe ever. So, like from there, do the companies then have to say, well, look, we're going to give these another cycle or another half a cycle or something like that, just to allow the people who. Like, imagine if you've been. I'm sure people who watch now been and bought a Sim driver a month ago.
Yeah.
And then then go out with it. It's still in the wrapper. It's like you spend £400 on something. It must be so frustrating to not be able to go and use it. Then potentially by the time you go and use it, the Sim 2's out or something like that. That would be a kick in the teeth. But hopefully the brands will just carry on marketing them, and it depends how long we're in this position for.
Yeah, I totally agree. I just hope, like you say, the brands support the clubs and the pros, because without having a pro at a golf club, I don't see how a club survives going forwards. Because I don't think, in my opinion, and just as a general rule of thumb, most golf clubs actually think of the pro as highly as they should. It's like their face to everybody, lessons, absolutely everything. And I don't think a lot of golf clubs actually see the value in it. So hopefully, we're not, obviously, like we're saying, worst case scenario that a few golf clubs go downhill. It's not a big thing in the grand scheme of things, but for our industry, looking at our industry, we hope that doesn't happen.
Oh, absolutely. But the head pro where I work at Bixby, at Huddersfield, Alex, she absolutely runs the show from start to finish. And she has done ever since I've been there, and probably a few years before that. And it's, like you said, I don't think people really see how much impact the pros have. So yeah, hopefully it's one of them where hopefully it doesn't last as long as we're all thinking. I don't even want to quote like government numbers and things, because I think we're all guessing at the moment, aren't we? But hopefully everyone does what they need to do. And I think the government have kind of helped businesses and self-employed a little bit, and employers and employed people and things like that, to probably as much as they probably can. So without turning into a political debate, because I want nothing to do with that at all. Yeah.
Anyway, on to a lighter topic. So we're gonna leave that now. We're gonna talk about. We've got a question here from YouTube. How are your Mizunos going? A question from George Sancaster.
They are. I assume we're talking irons. They are brilliant. Part of me is thinking that I might have to go. I'm trying to think. Did I have them in Mauritius? You
did, yeah. I think they were like brand new when you got the Mauritius.
Yeah. They're not brand new anymore. But it's funny because one didn't end up in a lake, did it?
No, that wasn't you. Who was that? No, I don't know.
That wasn't. No, we're not talking about that. But anyway, I'm part thinking as well. Maybe the 4 and 5 iron, which I've got HMB, could potentially go into the MCC or maybe even MB. Because I'm just finding that the offset on the HMB for me. I mean, my bad shot's left, as we all know anyway, so I'm just kind of struggling long iron-wise to, kind of keep the flight down and also keep it from going left. Little things, but apart from that, I mean, the fully fitted, the shafts are perfect, the grips are mint, and there's a bladed head, so couldn't really want much more, could you?
Okay, so here's a question for you. And actually, Geordie, who put you that comment, he's the guy who won some off you when you lost at a giveaway, I think. He just said.
Oh, yeah. Geordie Sancaster.
Yeah, that's it. I read his name wrong. So I'm going to put a question to you. If you weren't playing Mizuno, what irons would you gain?
So what's just popped in my head now is the Titleist MBs, just because they look so good. I love bladed irons. I couldn't see myself using anything else other than bladed irons. Maybe the Tiger Woods tailor-made ones, but they were so rare.
They look pure.
I didn't even get to review them, so it's like, maybe if you could get your hands on them, but if you can't get them, it's a bit pointless having them, isn't it? Or releasing them, but not bitter at all.
To be honest, I can't remember the last time I had blades, and this is no joke. Was a set of Ben Hogan blades. They were actually called that when I Oh dear, James is putting his head down here, guys. No, seriously, when I was about 11 or 12, I have not had a bladed set of irons since.
I mean, I'm not going to lie, Alex. I played with you in Mauritius, and that doesn't surprise me one bit.
Okay, yeah, I tell you, my golf game was absolutely terrible in Mauritius. left, right, all over the gaff.
It must have been the humidity, or
it was the travelling. The travel. I'm going to say the travel.
Maybe it was the perfect weather, the perfect golfing conditions.
Perfect weather, perfect greens, perfect rough. The only thing I'm going to say is the rough was hard and the course was set up ready for the Mauritian Open. That's all I'm saying.
And the water was wet through.
Yeah, the water was wet through, like it is everywhere. So I want to go to another question here from YouTube. Do we both have ideas of setting up simulators at home?
No. Because this is my office. I'm at home now. But I love getting away from home.
Yeah.
As daft as it sounds, like imagine now we're in lockdown, and it would be perfect to have a simulator at home now in lockdown. But the other 27 years of my life, I've quite enjoyed leaving home and then coming back on a night and then leaving home again for work. So I think it's quite healthy to not be engrossed in all that. Because I spend too much time in here as it is. If this was a simulator, I'd never leave.
Yeah.
So I think if you could kind of section your life off from work a little bit, it's probably for the best. Especially especially when it's golf and YouTube and golf coaching, and like it's your hobby as well. So it becomes very difficult to turn off.
I've actually thought about setting something up in the garden. I've contemplated it. I'm not gonna lie. Just more for the fact that probably not to create too many videos, because I've actually got some in the pipeline that hopefully I'll put up. But
make sure you put something on it saying it was filmed before.
I'm actually going to bring that up now, actually. So I saw this the other day on James's story, and it absolutely boiled my piss, to say the least. It did, because
I'm glad you're the first one to swear, because I've been holding him back.
Just because the fact that, like, me and James, I post 4 times a week. He posts every day. We have to produce some sort of content that's going to last us over a period of time. So if we've got golf videos that are outside going up now, then we didn't film them yesterday. Like we're at home. Obviously, you've seen James at home. I'm at home. So the comment that was up was just ridiculous, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, I've had a few on today's video as well. And the title of today's video was "We Play Mystery Golf, the Worst Golf of My Life," in brackets pre-lockdown. So I think there the title kind of
sort of gives it
away when it was filmed, and still like 2 or 3 comments. You're so disrespectful. You're this, you're that. And like, to be honest, I've stopped replying negatively to them and just said, just have a look at the title, mate.
Yeah.
Or pardon me, or if it's not in the title, I've put kind of 20-second interval in there, just saying this is filmed before lockdown, it's filmed before this, before that. Unfortunately, some of the public can't read, won't read, or don't want to read. So it's difficult, but at this moment in time, you've still got to just say there's worse things going on, haven't you? So,
yeah, exactly. Okay, another question coming in from YouTube. Guy called Tom Giles. He is a high handicap golfer, only been playing for a year. What irons would we recommend? And would we recommend, I guess it's probably more for me. So I'm going to ask you, what irons would you recommend? And he's asked me, would I recommend Cobra 1 length? I have played Cobra 1 length. James is looking at me like funny here. For over a year now. He's gone off. And I have really, really enjoyed playing them. I use the Forge Tech. I've got the X100 black shafts in there, Tour White. I know it's Tour White with the black shafts, and I absolutely love them. They work really well for me, so I can't recommend them highly enough. James is holding up some 1 lengths here in the video on this side as well.
They look all right, to be fair.
Have you tested them yet? Clearly not. No, the wrapper's still on them, guys.
I have tested some, but in fact, I don't know how much people enjoy this kind of thing. So
oh, he's doing it. Oh, lovely. He's just taking. Sounds weird. Just taking the wrapper off.
So how the grips feel good, mate. To be fair. See, but even that there. So that's. I'm holding that now. This is probably the strangest video you've had on, isn't it? But That is a 7. It's a 7 iron session. Back to the question, because we're deviating. The one-length irons for me, I stand by what I said when I tested them. Love the idea of the long irons, because my dad uses them, and he can't hit a 6 iron or a 5 iron to save his life. He's off about 19, 20 now. I hope he's not watching this, because I don't know his handicap. But he's off like 19 or 20. He can't hit a long iron, so they're perfect for him. But the pitching wedge, the 9 iron, the 8 iron, he's cut down to normal length because he just can't hit them. And that's where I don't understand the logic of. I do understand the logic for a good player. I don't really know any good players. But Bryson.
If he weren't alive there, I'd be absolutely. What a.
Yeah, so it's a funny one. I don't really understand the full concept. I get the idea. For a beginner, back to the start of the question. For a beginner, if we're asking the question of the best beginner irons I've tested, I don't think I've done the video on it yet, but I'm going to give it away a little bit. The Ping G710s are unreal, to be fair. If you ask for forgiveness, looks, they don't feel or sound amazing, but you're never going to get that from such a kind of big forgiving iron. I think they're fantastic, and the price-wise are not bad either. And they come with that little thing in there that these come with as well.
Yeah. That's really good. That's actually really good to track your game and see how far your clubs. You actually get. I don't think you can use it in competition, but you can actually use a caddy once you play. I think it's 8 or 9 rounds. It can tell you what club you're going to hit. It's almost like cheating.
8 or 9 rounds.
Yeah, just so you've got enough. So you've got enough data. I think sure they can actually then predict how far you hit it, because you could hit 1 8 iron that goes X and then.
Yeah. Do they charge, Coop? Do you come charge for
that? You know what? I think you get the first year free.
Ping charge for it. I think Ping you get a couple of months and then it's a chargeable fee. So that, in my review of them, it put me off a little bit, to be fair.
So next question is also about clubs as well. Matthew Bennett. He's also a high handicapper.
Is it Matt Bennett that I know? I'm asking you, but I know Matthew Bennett. But anyway.
I don't know, mate. Do you want to ask Matthew? I'm also a high handicapper. Looking to get super game improvement irons with bigger faces like the Sim Max OS or Callaway Maverick Max. Have you tested either?
Do you want us to go and get them? No. I've tested let's see if the wrappers are still on. 1 minute. Because if the wrappers are off, that means that I've tested them. I have tested the Sim Max OS. I haven't tested the Maverick Max yet. I have done Maverick Pro and normal Maverick. This is a big thing for me with irons. There's too many of them.
Yeah.
There's way too many of them. The Sim Max OS, I can't see being that much better than the P790. For me, the P790 as a whole, as a product, is unbelievable. And it depends on, if you're having lessons, I'd say, not really. You don't really want to be buying something that's that big or that forgiving if you've got ambitions to improve or to have lessons. But if you're not, and you're literally say, I always think about rental sets. Rental sets are always there at premium golf courses, and they're always probably TaylorMade or Callaway, and they're always the biggest irons possible because they want people to enjoy the game. They want them to have found it easy and want to come back and play again. And that for me is what the Sim irons are about and the Maverick irons are about. The P790 and the Apex irons are a totally different cat of fish. You won't find them in those bags because they're more people who are probably aspiring to improve the game, to better the game, and probably enjoy the game with a bit more longevity. So I've not answered the question there at all, but I don't like orange, so probably the Sim.
So how on that note, because there are so many options, how do you cut through the noise, and how do you kind of go, right, okay, I'm looking to play for a long period of time. Do you go straight to a kind of a more intermediate / not better players iron, but intermediate iron, and you just sort of take the hit to begin with if you're taking lessons then?
Yeah, so when I did the beginner series with Foxing, we did the Mizuno fit. He got fitted for JPX 919 Hot Metal Pro. So that's like there's the hot metal, isn't there, which is the big, massive, chunky one, and there was the 19 Tour which I used, and the 19. What was the one above the Tour? There was like another 19 one, wasn't there? The whatever they call it, probably a Pro because that's what they like to call things. But the hot metal Pro was very much in the middle, and the fitter at not Schofield but Hollingwell, Mike, was absolutely fantastic, and he said, "Look, you're having lessons, like Foxy has probably a lesson every 2 weeks. He might play once a week, especially now he's joined. So the last thing I'm going to do is fit you into something where you're going to spend a lot of money, and like in 6 months' time, it'd be no good for you, and you've got you can sell them, but they're not going to be worth what you paid for them.
No.
So then you're going to have to spend like more money. So like he kind of, and this is where a good fitter really does pay dividends, because he probed Foxy that much and said, what do you aspire to be? What do you want to do? How much have you progressed so far? Then off the back of it, check his ability and say, right, I'm going to fit you for these, partly because of the ability you are now, and partly because the progress you've shown and where you want to be.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's obviously depends on what you aspire to be, and how often you're taking lessons is key. Because if you're someone who thinks like maybe 2 lessons a year, 3 lessons a year, then you may want to vary towards more forgiving, and then vice versa. Like Foxy, who's having them every 2 weeks, which is quite a lot. Then you're going down that route. Okay, so we are on to one of the final few questions here. Fantasy golfer. So I've asked a lot of people this question so far. We're talking, you've got to pick a driver swing from somebody. You've got to pick a iron swing from a player. You've got to pick a short game, so chipping, bunker play, pitching, and then a putting action to make up your fantasy player. So 4 elements. Who are you picking?
You could have thrown this at me this morning.
On the spot. I did send it you about an hour ago.
Oh, did you? Driver swing, Rory, because he bombs it. Probably the best driver on tour as well, to be fair. Iron swing, I feel so on the spot now. I'm looking around for inspiration. Iron swing. Stenson.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Short game. I mean, I'd like to say Mickelson, but that's like a bit of a cop-out, isn't it?
No one's actually picked him yet.
Yeah, probably because it's a massive cop-out and they've not done the homework, like me. Putting, you know what? Putting Brent Snedeker.
I like that one. I remember literally, I don't know exactly the time, but probably 3 or 4 years ago, it's like short poppy stroke where...
Yeah, it's like, if that's a putter, it goes like heel up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then...
It's almost like...
I love it, yeah.
It's almost like a bit Steve Stricker, like kind of bit, but a poppier action.
Exactly. Very, very similar. It's less rotation, so like the face doesn't move as much.
Yeah. So, I like them 3. 4, 3, can't count. So just to clarify, you've gone Rory, Stenson, Mickelson, and then Brad Snedeker.
Yeah.
You happy? You in? You locked to that?
I mean, I ain't got a choice, have I? Like I said, you asked me if I got maybe a show last week, you could have thrown it at me then, but yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so the final question for today is all about your golf. Okay, so when did you start playing golf, and what has been your road to becoming a PGA Pro? Did you have aspirations of playing, or was it... No. Well, that's that conversation. Thanks for coming today, guys. And
like I think anybody that does the PGA would be totally lying to you if they said you went into it with no aspirations of playing, because the reason why we do what we do is because we love playing golf.
Yeah.
Like, I quickly realised that shooting like high 70s, low 80s, being respectful, does not make you any money playing golf. But what I did find is I quite like learning stuff, and I quite like taking stuff in. So how's your water, mate? Is that right?
Yeah, just keeping hydrated. It's actually a beer. Gone with you.
Yeah, hold on.
I am listening.
Yeah. Like I quite like learning stuff. So I've done a lot of like separate things other than the PGA to help me with my coaching, which I know like you have as well. And I like passing knowledge on. So then, like for me, before I started YouTube, I was teaching like 30, 40 lessons a week and absolutely loving it. And to be honest, I'm partly thinking of still carrying on the content, but trying to go back to a bit more of that as well, because like I properly miss teaching because like all this rubbish has taken over. But the road to it, never really good player, turned pro 4, which is like the maximum you can turn pro off. Had to go and do the playing ability test. To be fair, I played quite well in that. We used to do that, not a problem. Never really won anything. I think the best score I've had is like 3 under or something like that. So, and that was like once. So yeah, but absolutely love the game. Love passing on my love for the game, and just not as good as you would like to be, which I'm sure a lot of people are.
Yeah, it's so competitive, isn't it? Like to be, you've seen them, you played with them, and those guys. Do you know what amazes me sometimes? And this always, I think, is more impressive. You might play with them, you come off and you think, oh, he's not done anything that special. You look at him, he shot like 64. And you're like...
So can I just say as well that, so obviously I played in the Desert Classic Pro Am.
Yeah.
And like, this is going to sound really disrespectful, but I want it to. The guy I played with, Christian Bezadenhout, it took me the 2 days that I knew who I was playing with to learn how to say his name. I had no idea who he was. And loads of people will know who he was because he was like world top 100 at the time. But like for me not to really know who he was, I've heard of him, but not like...
He's not a household name.
Yeah, you're hoping for the Garcia, the Westwood, the whoever, right? And then I got the draw and I was like, oh yeah, nice one, yeah, cool. Like, right, introduced myself to him, yeah, good, nice one. He played all right. Like, obviously, he played very, very well on the day. But you wouldn't have said that the weeks after the pro-am that I played with him, so he lost in a playoff in the actual event itself, in the Desert Classic. And to be fair, one bad shot cost him the playoff because he should have won. Then he nearly won the Arnold Palmer. And then the Players' Championship, which got postponed after one round, he shot 65. So it's like, someone who potentially you've not really heard of that much, isn't a household name, is now very much, in my opinion, a household name. But yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? And a lot of people who have the aspirations to go and play, like you'll see them hit it and you'll see them play. And like I'm probably a bit too negative with it now. I'm like, yeah, make sure you've got like a backup or something like that. I know a lot of people are a lot more positive than that and push people on more, but you see, for me, you see it too often, don't you, where people all the eggs in that basket and then have nowhere to go after that. And I think you've got to. That's why the PGA is so good. Like there's so many negative things about the PGA, which a lot of people talk about often. But one of the positive things is how many people it's kept working in golf as a profession who aren't necessarily good enough to play for a job.
No, I totally agree. And I'm one of them who hasn't thought of it like that, to be fair. And probably think of some of the other things, but we won't go into that. It's another debate. But no, we'll leave it on that note. Thank you very much, pal, for coming on. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Did you lose your voice then a little bit?
Yeah, that's why I've got the water. No, I'm all healthy.
Welcome.
So thanks, James, for coming on. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. And as always, thank you for all the questions.
Subscribe as well.
Yes, and make sure you subscribe, and we'll catch you soon.